everyone. So today's video is on the chapter The First World War from 1914 to 1918. Those who have opted for humanities in class 11th ISC and are wanting to have a better understanding of this chapter can definitely go through this video. So let's begin. And yeah, before starting up, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. This would really help me though. And tell in the comment section that do you want any other videos like this or not. So, the First World War, you can take notes from this also. Initially, there were 20. Let's just talk about Europe. In Europe, there were 20 independent nations, out of which 7 countries that are Britain, France, Italy, Russia, Ottoman Empire, Austria Hungary, and one or two more. So they were considered as the great powers because they were very powerful countries in terms of armaments, in terms of military, and everything, along with resources. Among all these great powers, Britain was the most powerful state. So we can look into our book also. It is written that Britain was the most powerful as it had a very powerful navy, and France was great in land power. Germany and Italy were growing and were hungry for power and more colonies. So, but among all these countries, Germany's middle class was very hardworking, patriotic, and was determined to reach the topmost place in power. That is why they were trying hard to establish more and more colonies. But the problem was, so okay, agar वी टॉक फॉर इन मोर लेमन लैंग्वेज, जर्मनी को प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि वो जहाँ पे भी जाता था ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस की कॉलोनीज़ उसको मिलती थी। मतलब अगर वो साउथ में जा रहा है वहाँ पे ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस ने अपनी कॉलोनी इस्टेब्लिश कर रखी हैं, वो नॉर्थ में जा रहा है वहाँ पे ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस ने अपनी कॉलोनी इस्टेब्लिश कर रखी है। तो जर्मनी को मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी दैट वो कहीं से भी लैंड पावर में टॉप मोस्ट प्लेस तो नहीं ला सकता था अगर उसने कॉलोनीज नहीं बिल्ड की, और वो देख रहा था दैट ब्रिटेन एंड फ्रांस आर गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर पावरफुल डे बाय डे. So now what happened that along with it there were some problems that led to World War One, where Russia and Austria-Hungary conflict over the Balkan Peninsula, Italy and Germany's demand for more and more colonies. So this is the point that I was talking about, that Germany and Italy wanted more and more colonies, and that is why they were looking forward. Aggressive policies of Germany, which included the Naval Development Program, Berlin Baghdad Railway Project, compelled England to leave its isolation policy. Now, if I explain this point, so Germany basically wanted to achieve parity with Britain in terms of navy, which means that Germany wanted to be equal in terms of navy along with Britain. And again, Trebillock, if it is written in our book, that what British industry took half a century to develop, Germany developed it within a decade, which means that Britain took a long time duration to रीच एट दिस लेवल. उसको इस लेवल पर आने के लिए इतना टाइम लग गया, लेकिन जर्मनी ने अपने हार्डवर्क से उस लेवल तक विद इन अ डिकेड वो पहुंच गया जर्मनी. सो इफ आई एक्सप्लेन दिस पॉइंट, जर्मनी ने काफ़ी सारे नेवल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट किया जिससे वो अपनी नेवी को और स्ट्रॉन्ग कर पाए. उसने रेलवे प्रोजेक्ट स्टार्ट किया सो दैट वो और ज़्यादा इवॉल्व हो पाए. देन if we look into our books, it is written that compared to resources and political strength, France was weaker than Germany. When we talk about France, France was initially, if in initial times, France was very powerful with Britain, but as Germany started to develop and make its army, navy, and everything stronger, Germany became weaker than France became weaker than Germany in terms of resources. One of the most important points that you will see in this chapter is the Franco-German War. So various reasons that led to World War One, but one of the important reasons were the Franco-German War. So France was also involved in this World War One, and the reason was that during Franco-German War, France was imposed with very harsh terms by Germany. France lost the Franco-German War in that took place in 1870, and Alsace and Lorraine, a very important two provinces of France, were taken away from her. And France were determined to get back those two places, and she wanted that even if getting back those two places led to the war, France would definitely take part into the war. And that is why Germany also knew that France can declare a war, and that Germany scanned the whole Europe for a suitable ally. This was one of the important causes for which France took part in the First World War. Coming on to Britain, Britain was regarded as the most powerful country of the world. English imperialists took pride in the statement, "The sun did not set in Britain." This means that English imperialists said that Britain can never ever go down. The sun can never set, means Britain's prosperity would never go down or would never come back. It would always be at the topmost place. The colonial market was at her grip, where she drew cheap raw materials for her machines and where she sold her finished products in monopoly market without much competition. So this point again means that, as I said before, that Britain and France had established many colonies in different parts of world. So Britain had a way more number of colonies than any other country, and that is why Britain drew cheap raw materials from those what should I say? Yeah, from those colonial markets, and she Britain sent her finished products in those colonial markets in those colonies. So Britain also dominated in sea lanes, and her strength was derived from her empire, which included one fourth of the population of the world and her industries. In this para, it is not mentioned that why Britain joined the war, but we'll see it further in the chapter. Coming on to Russia, Russia was large and populous, but the most important thing which also made Russia weaker was the overthrow of Caesar. The Czarist government of Russia was declining due to its autocratic system of government. Russia's industrial growth was much below as compared to Germany and Britain. Still, she was primarily an agrarian country, and it proved that her military strength was poor. When there was a war between Russia and Japan in 1905, Russia suffered a humiliating defeat, and her Tsarist government faced a great internal trouble and revolution. So this weakened Russia. Coming on to Austria-Hungary, we see that there were two countries with separate governments, but were under one emperor of Habsburg dynasty. They had common army, common economy, and common foreign policy. Austria became a sick country which faced danger of dissolution because the minority nation like Slavs refused to remain under Austro-German rule. Austria's main problem in foreign policy were conflict with Serbia. Now, this conflict with Serbia is the main reason for which the World War One started. This is not any secondary reason. This is the foremost and the main reason for which World War started. I'll tell you the incident upon which the World War took place. The second is conflict with Russia for domination on Balkan Peninsula. Italy was a newborn power like Germany, but it was politically and economically weak. So basically, Italy did not have a leader, an efficient leader that may lead them to becoming a prosperous and a very well established country. It failed to produce any effective administrator like Bismarck and Kaiser William and her government was unstable. So this is the main point, that her government was unstable. Economically, Italy lacked material resources. So if you are asked what was the problem that Italy could not gain parity with Germany, so these are the 2 points, that her government was unstable and Italy lacked in material resources. Also, her industrial progress was unsatisfactory. If in future, whenever you are asked the who was the sick man of which country was the sick man of Europe, so you will have to tell Ottoman Turkish Empire. You can take screenshot of this whole page if you want to study for your test. Okay, so triple entente. Now you would be wondering, what is triple entente, what is triple alliance? So basically, Europe was divided into two power blocks. One was Europe. This is Europe. Now Europe was divided into two power blocks. One was Triple Alliance and one was Triple Entente. Now this Triple Entente, how was this formed? We'll now look at it. England signed a treaty with France in 1904, which was called Entente Cordiale. Two more treaties followed this. They were Franco-Russian and Anglo-Russian conventions. All the three conventions came together, making the famous Triple Entente, which was directed against Germany and Austria-Hungary. So, if I explain this to you, it is as that. So, how was this Triple Entente formed? So, basically, इंग्लैंड इंग्लैंड को चाहिए था कि वो उसको इंग्लैंड को जर्मनी के ये जो बढ़ते हुए ग्रोथ ऑफ जर्मनी, इससे इंग्लैंड को समझ में आ गया दैट इफ दे डू नॉट फॉर्म एनी अलायंस, तो मे बी जर्मनी उनसे आगे निकल सकता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ मिलिट्री, इन टर्म्स ऑफ नेवी, इन टर्म्स ऑफ लैंड पावर. सो इंग्लैंड को लगा, लाइक दैट इज ब्रिटेन, उसको लगा कि दैट दे नीड टू मेक एन अलायंस विद फ्रांस एटलीस्ट, बिकॉज फ्रांस वॉज डोमिनेंट इन लैंड पावर. So they patched up an entente cordiale with France. The terms of this Anglo-French convention was England and France would settle their disputes in Siam, Thailand, Madagascar, and Newfoundland. By a secret clause, France gave a free hand to England in Egypt, and England gave a free hand to France in Morocco. Spain's interest in Morocco would be safeguarded. Fourth, French Navy would guard Western Mediterranean, and British Navy would guard Eastern Mediterranean. This convention proved to be a solid one, as when the German battleship Panther reached Moroccan port, it was forced to go back by Anglo-French Navy. So this proved that how strong was this alliance. If we talk about Franco-Russian alliance, so France had already patched up an entente with Russia. The French minister Delcars was an astute statesman. He had persuaded the Czarist government to sign a Franco-Russian military convention in 1894. Please do remember the date. That is in 1894. I'm explaining this para for now. By this convention, France and Russia agreed that if अगर Russia पे कोई भी हमला होता है by any other country, any other state, so France would come, mobilize its force and support Russia. And if France में ऐसा कुछ होता है, so Russia would also mobilize its force and come to help France. नाउ अब फ्रांस जो है वो एक मेन पॉइंट बन गया था, लाइक फ्रांस और रशिया का कनेक्शन और फ्रांस और ब्रिटेन का कनेक्शन इंग्लैंड का. बट इंग्लैंड और रशिया का कनेक्शन अभी तक नहीं हो पाया था. इंग्लैंड वांटेड टू पैच एन अलायंस विद रशिया, बट जब रशिया का डिफीट हुआ इन हैंड्स ऑफ जापान इन 1904, याद है अभी जो मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले बताया था कि रशिया और जापान के बीच में एक फाइट हुई थी जिसमें रशिया हार गया था और उसकी ज़ारसिस गवर्नमेंट ओवरथ्रो हो गई थी. तो उससे रशिया को अपने आप ही समझ में आ गया कि इट नीड्स सपोर्ट ऑफ सम कंट्री. इससे हुआ रशिया और इंग्लैंड का, जिसको कहते हैं एंग्लो रशियन कन्वेंशन. इट वॉज साइंड इन 1904. सो हमारा एंग्लो फ्रेंच कन्वेंशन भी 1904 में हुआ था, अप्रैल 8, और एंग्लो रशियन कन्वेंशन भी हुआ था 1904, इफ वी टॉक अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस बुक. एंड बट जो हमारा फ्रांको रशियन कन्वेंशन हुआ था, इट टुक प्लेस इन 1894. सो ऑल दिस टुगेदर, ये तीनों कन्वेंशन, ये तीनों अलायंसेस, ये सब जब साथ में मिली तो इसको कहते हैं ट्रिपल एंटॉन्ट. ओके, सो आई टोल्ड यू दैट यहाँ पे हमारे यूरोप जो था वो दो पावर ब्लॉक्स में डिवाइड हो गया था. पहला था ट्रिपल एंटॉन्ट, और इसको हम ट्रिपल एंटॉन्ट को बोलते हैं आई थिंक सेंट्रल पावर, या वी कॉल इट अलाइड पावर्स, ट्रिपल एंटॉन्ट को. एंड दिस ट्रिपल अलायंस वी रेफर इट टू एज सेंट्रल पावर. अब सेंट्रल पावर में थे रशिया, ऑस्ट्रिया हंगरी एंड इटली ने स्टार्टिंग में तो इनको ज्वाइन किया था, बट बाद में इटली धोखा देके दूसरे उधर ट्रिपल एंटॉन्ट की तरफ भाग गया था. You must be wondering कि ये क्या लिखा है. So it is that another major factor which played a role in First World War was the Eastern Question. Now Eastern Question was based on the issue of Balkan nationalism, who wanted to make themselves free from the Muslim Turkish rule. Balkan League was formed when Slav nationalists merged with Serbia and declared a war against Turkish rule. Please remember this Treaty of London, as it is very, very important. It took place in 1913. According to this treaty, some terms and conditions were imposed on Balkan League which limited their capabilities.